Hey, welcome to Spark of the Force's first chat. Today we're going to be joined by Nico from Jung-Jae's Marvel, as well as Dominic from Star Wars Artefacts. We're going to give our thoughts and our impressions of the Acolyte show and all the controversy surrounding it. Welcome to the first, podcast you could say. It's a collab between Jung-Jae's Marvel, Star Wars Artifact, and Spark of the Force. We're joined by Nicocrank, Dominic, and myself, our old Star Wars Artifact crew. And we're going to try to figure out, or I guess give our opinions on what happened with the Acolytes TV show from start to finish, I guess, what's been going on with their cancellations, petitions, and whatnot. But let's get right into it with the impressions of the show. So we'll give our honest opinion. Maybe start with Dominic and see what you thought of the show.
All right. Well, I guess that maybe out of the three of us, I'm the one that enjoyed it the most. Enjoyed it is a big word. Let me underline that. I mean, it's not the worst Star Wars I've seen, but it's clearly not the best Star Wars I've seen as well. It's not a catastrophe. The fact maybe it's 100 years before the Skywalker saga kind of helps to keep it, okay with me. But I guess we'll break it down afterwards. But I would say that if I had to give it a note, maybe out of 10, it would be 6.5.
Okay. Fair enough. I was expecting more than that, but that's I think that's fair. But that's low for you. That's low for you.
Yeah, 7 tops.
Super low for you.
Yeah.
Nico, what about you?
Well, I can't say I liked it, or I can't say I loved it. Yeah. So I was quite disappointed because we were sold one type of show and we received another type of show. So that was the first thing that I didn't like about it.
Mm-hmm. What do you think we were sold, though, from the start? Like, what was your impression?
We were sold a dark, Sith-based or Sith-focused show about a Sith apprentice working its way around the galaxy, something like that.
Yeah.
The posters were like, there's a lightsaber with a
trace of blood.
A trace of blood as a blade. There was something like it was supposed to be dark.
Yeah.
And we got none of it, or some glimpse of it, but was not enough for a whole show. And I won't go into the details that why I didn't like it, but I mean, it was bad, but not the worst. Like Dom said, Book of Boba Fett was way worse than that.
Well, I think for me it's the same thing. I mean, as much as I like Boba Fett, I think the Book of Boba Fett was probably the worst content I think that we can call it from what we've received from Disney so far, with a close finish with the Last Jedi for me personally. But I think it's just I think there's an underlying theme when it comes to the the stuff that I didn't like, as opposed to what maybe other people liked and whatnot. But I mean, I'm on the same thing. I mean, I'm more like I'm gonna go even further and go. It's probably closer to a 4 or 5. I don't even 5 is generous. I don't even think it's average. I mean, I think it's below average. I thought if we want to get into some of the details, I didn't like the writing. I didn't like the editing. I just thought it was just. It felt like, I don't know. It felt like they were making it up as they went along. I mean, I don't know if you agree with that, but like for me, I just felt like stuff was just coming up and saying, "Well, did you just put that in?" Like it just like, I don't know. Whether it be like cameos or whatever, they're not the cameos, but the little eye candy or fan favoring that that they were kind of doing is like. I thought it was failed in every kind of execution as far as would be Yoda or whatever. It's just like putting in there, just finding a lot of it didn't make sense and caused controversy with the fans, and so I don't know what you guys thought about any of those things, or if you.
Well, yeah, it's fun to have cookies, but if they don't add some value to the show, it gets kind of pointless.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. So
everything was kind of. They tried to manufacture the mystery, like they cut each episode. They were so badly made.
Mm-hmm.
They they get to a cliffhanger at the end of each episode. So, oh, there's a mystery. There's something that happened earlier that made things happen and stuff like that.
But
And
the
every
mystery
time
was that there was no mystery.
Yeah.
there was no mystery.
Or it was plain obvious. I
that.
just thought like whatever, like when they kind of like said, and I had read some people saying, "Oh, there's a twist in this," and I'm like, when I saw it, I'm like, what the twist? I'm like, that's
There's no twist.
I knew that he was the bad guy. Like I kind of figured that out. Like there was nothing really like there was nothing clever about it, right? And for me, like it leads to like what. You know, the same thing with The Last Jedi, which when I kind of rank it in the same thing, like there was nothing clever about the comedy or the twists and turns. I just thought it was like, I don't know, it just felt like it was kind of made up, a little trying to go for shock value, which just didn't work, or was very poorly executed.
They got me maybe for the first 2 or 3 episodes when I said, well, oh, maybe it's that, and then I don't know, okay, just what I thought it was. You know, it was no big surprises, no big reveal, no big. You know, it was easy to guess what was next.
I was hyped for the first 2 episodes. We made a podcast on Monjaz Marvel about the first 2 episodes, and I was planning to make more. And then the 3rd episode came, and it was like, oh.
I think Dom and I we were talking about.
So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna talk about. I don't want to go into the hate speech and stuff like that. So I'm not the kind of person that will just bash on stuff. So I told my crew, I said, like, let's not do this. It's so bad. Yeah, one of my co-hosts just didn't watch it at all because, well, he watched the first episode and went
he abandoned afterward.
Abandoned there. Spoke about doing it for Star Wars Artifact as well, and like I said, well, let me watch it, and then I'm like, I can't do it. I can't bring myself to put any kind of effort
8 weeks
the show. Like
torture.
It's like and I won't have anything
20 minutes
to say.
Fake 20-minute episode of fake mystery with cliffhangers that went nowhere.
Yeah,
it was so bad. I mean,
because getting a show like this for us, a podcast ready, you know, we have to make our homework. You know, we prepare like a little agenda, what the topics we're going to talk about. We find the Easter eggs and this and that. So maybe it's like 4, maybe 5 hours of preparation. We'll take the snapshots of the scenes we want to talk about, and you know, just to invest all that time
just
for
to be negative,
a show of that quality. It was not just worth it.
There's enough people out there, I think, that are just being negative, and the thing is, you know, I'll obviously, and we can get into the next point, which is like the polarizing the fans into, like, you know, name calling and all this stuff. And it's like you can't really have a negative opinion of something, or I'll even change, not negative, but a non-positive opinion about something without being labeled as, like, you know, or getting into politics, like, you know, you're outright, or you're racist, you're sexist,
it was so terrible.
It's like geez, I just don't like it, and it, you know, the part about like the female leads and the female, like the mothers and all this stuff, and the child coming from like from 2 females, like, it had nothing to do with that. Like, and to go back on what like Nico was saying, like about the editing, how many times did like the screen turn black for like 2 seconds? Not just like it was like black screen. I'm like, is it over? Boom, another scene. It's like, what's going on here? It's like, is this episode actually going to end? Like, and it was just like, it was just bad from the start, and it's just unfortunate that it divided the fan base after what happened with The Last Jedi, and as soon as that happens, people just start attacking each other right away. You don't like it?
Well, some of the people were attacking way before the show even started. So those we don't even
care about them.
Listen about them. I mean, I just want to make sure put something on the table. It's not the Star Wars stuff that I hated about the show. It was how the show was made.
The
like
production.
All the
me too.
The concept of Star Wars in that show was great.
It was just
like
the
High Republic, the time it was made.
Were great.
Costumes were great. Stuff like that was all awesome.
The one thing that we forgot to mention, well, anyway, for me anyway, is the acting was horrible. In my opinion, the acting was absolutely horrible. I have nightmares of the picture of her, of Amandla, when she's doing her force choke or whatever, with zero expression on her face. Zero expression. I don't know if that's what they're going for. There was a lot of that where just kind of like very monotone, like
the
just
Kyber,
non-expressive. Yeah, the Kyber, all this stuff.
bleeding the Kyber was like, oh, it's done. Vader in the
it happened in
comics
the span
almost
of...
died bleeding a crystal, and
Yeah.
she's just like holding it like that, and
and they're there was about the bleeding of the crystal. Like they were talking about like how we didn't see that in the other movies. Like if Anakin's lightsaber didn't bleed or his crystal didn't bleed when he was slaughtering children, then why would it have bled there, right? Like there's all these kind of arguments, but then the whole point is like when you hear that, there's like the people that like the Acolytes who were trying to defend it, they were just like, well, you have to kind of forget canon now. Like, okay, now we're moving the goalpost a lot, right?
we're rewriting the canon.
Yeah, it's like now you can't like this, you can't count this, you can't count this. Like, so every time there's going to be an argument, you're going to have something. Well, we have to keep that out of your mind now. Like, so why don't you just keep it the way it's supposed to? Try to respect all the work that's been done by George Lucas and others, and Dave Filoni with his Clone Wars and all this stuff. Like, try to respect some of this rather than disregard it, right?
And I understand that there's a ladder in the canon, where comic books are like at the bottom of the ladder and the live action is at the top of the ladder. But at some point, I don't think it would have been very hard to see May alone on the island, with all her anger, trying to bleed the crystal in some sort of a cave, or with a ritual, with a book that she had found at Kimir's top shelf somewhere. I don't know. It would have been very easy to make it work.
But I think that like also the choices in acting, and I saw someone post something where he has a picture with Leslie and all that, and he said he asked her personally. They said that the I forget his name, the actor who the Asian guy, sorry,
Manny Jacinto.
Exactly. So they said that she wrote that part for him, with him in mind. So when
you mean Soul, the guy who
played
Soul, the guy from
Jung-Jae.
So she wrote the part with him in mind, thinking that she wanted him to play it. So if she wrote that part with him in mind, that means she wrote the whole script with people in mind, including her wife, right? Which I thought was horrible at acting, because like and you look at their CVs as far as Leslie and her spouse, and like very limited experience, right? But you wrote, again, if this is true, you wrote these parts with actors in mind, rather than writing a story and then casting. And that's how it should be, in my opinion. You write the story, you make the story, and then, but if you're guided by the fact that, well, this is going to be my wife, so I want her to do this, I want her, like, so I want her to have the whip, I want her to do like all this kind of stuff, like it's just, and then after that you're going to like, oh, you just don't like it because of this. No, we don't like it because you didn't go story
was
first.
Bad.
You
was poorly written,
and you had and it has nothing to do with the LGBTQ and all this stuff. Like, it's not that you chose your cast before you wrote your story, and I think you had that in mind. And with all due respect to Soul, the actor who played Soul, like they're like, it's really cool that you learned English, but you're telling me that if you wanted to have an Asian actor play that role, you couldn't find any Asian actors in America that can already speak English. So you did want him, and it's great. He was probably one of the highlights of the show. Yeah. But it's like if you choose your cast before your story, and then after that people recognize the acting is not great, and then the story is bad because you worked around it, it's gonna show. And that's what happened. And then after that, well, then it's finger pointing, right? Like, but that's my opinion. I mean,
well, acting wise, from the start I said, like, it feels like it's a community theater troupe that is making that show. It felt so off. Everybody was feeling off, except maybe Jackie,
Daphne Keane.
Daphne Keane, Daphne Keane was awesome. It should have been a show around her. Why did they use the other girl that with a blank face, no emotion, never? It's the same person every time, same hairstyle, same expression. They played two person, but I mean, okay, at the end we kind of know it's the same person split, but I mean,
it was confusing anyway. You could never tell if she was good or if she was bad, which sister was. I was like, so I was trying to find somewhere in there where the twist was, but like it just felt like everyone had, you know,
She was bipolar, like
yeah,
changing. Oh, I'm gonna surrender myself to the Jedi because I made a mistake. Oh, I'm gonna kill the Jedi 5 seconds after. Like,
and then this dude slaughters all of the Jedis, and then you see him naked in the water, and then all of a sudden you're like, you know, all of us, yeah, exactly. So it's just,
so cute.
again, it's all part of the
Well,
bad
Yoda
acting.
said the dark side was more seductive, I guess.
Yeah, well, I just find that like you can't, and again, all the points you've made like has nothing to do with sex, homophobia, race, nothing. Like
Gender,
it's nothing to do with it. Like,
ethnicity.
There
it's
was
just,
none of it in
No.
the show.
yeah.
There was none of it in the
But
show.
I obviously there was. I've seen some negative stuff that was written, very little, but I have seen it. So like,
Oh, yeah.
as much as they say, but the thing is, you can't let those people represent the fan base, and I really doubt that Disney would have let those voices dictate whether or not the show was to continue, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, you already have a fan base that's on guard, and then you have the whole cast coming out and doubling down. Well, maybe not the whole cast, but the showrunners and then like doubling down, and then you have like Amanda coming out with her song, and just like all this kind of like it's just like you're not helping yourselves, right? Like it's
Nope.
like you could have just came out and say we're sorry you don't like it, but there's no room for this, and that's fine. But like it was just really like finger pointing, and then I'm like, you know how someone's going to react when they feel like, if you're pointing towards the white male base or just the male audience that Kathleen Kennedy is referred to, it's hard to like please a dominated a male dominated fan base and stuff like that. It's just like, man, it's like
it works for everything. It's like, don't try to isolate one type of person.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, we made it for one type of make it for everybody, and nobody will yell or anybody will be hurt about anything. But I heard an interview about, I don't remember which cast member or which
Actor,
like actor or producer or something like that. They say, to me, geeks are gays. Like, no, they're not gays, they're everybody. So they went into that mindset of making a show for people that are LGBTQ or whatever the style of it or their preference. But I mean,
there was one with Leslie and Amanda where they were talking about like was C-3PO was a lesbian or was gay or something like that, or R2-D2 was documented or canon that he was this, and I'm just like, why are you trying to label anything? Why do we have to label all this stuff? Like, try to figure
make
out
a good story.
It's a droid, yeah, exactly. Just
it's a droid. He doesn't care.
But I obviously and again, I don't think it was led by any of the LGBTQ, but like it was led by the fact that she wanted certain people in her show, not certain people, but like certain actors, and the execution was poor, right? And it's funny because a lot of the polarizing I find comes from an age gap, and I could see it now. Like Oasis has announced a comeback as a band, and then you got all the young people are talking about, look all these old people now are going to start liking Oasis again. Like, why is it right away people start attacking, and then the old people are like, oh, watch all the young people get all the tickets and they have been fans for a long time. I'm like, everything that comes out now, to try to make people are happy, it's like you don't want to see the other person happy. It's just automatically like
no respect.
Yeah, no, and it's all about division.
Yeah, but it's exactly
it's black or white.
I'm sorry,
no in between.
Yeah.
To return to the show, was there any LGBTQ storyline or any diversity except that the cast was just diverse in a galaxy with diverse of people?
Yeah, well, I agree with you.
The two witches, but I mean, they didn't like.
They didn't make out in front of the screen.
Yeah,
the most we saw was a hand on the cheek,
stuff like that.
Yeah, we saw some tenderness.
Yeah,
we never saw some.
But I think automatically
nobody made out on screen.
When there's like a female-led show, and then people don't like it, they're like, oh, because it's female. If it's a show, then there's like two women in there, and then they'll be like, oh, you don't like it because they're lesbians. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like automatically, why are you so insecure about this stuff? People just want good shows, like, and it's nothing to do with the fact that female led. We were just telling Nico before, like, it's like I watched Han Solo, and I would take a show with Kira any day. I would take a show with Enfys Nest any
Crimson
day.
Dawn.
Like go. Like, I want to see this stuff. Ray, I mean, I'm kind of excited about the movie, but you know, with already the stuff that there's already controversy against the showrunner that's there.
That showrunner will never make that movie. That girl is out of the picture.
It's another person that limited experience, right? And like, and again, it has nothing to do with your agenda. And if they have an agenda, it's unfortunate. But like, it's the fact that stop handing these people with little to no experience. I mean, Rian Johnson had done Looper and written a couple of episodes of Breaking Bad. You handed him one of the biggest franchise and follow up J.J. Abrams. Like, he's supposed to follow, and then he wanted to do his own thing. And Leslie looked like she wanted to do her own thing. And I think that with the Book of Boba Fett,
did she made her own thing? It's hard to say. Did she make the show that she wanted to make, or there was some interference somewhere in the making of it?
No, from
because from the start of the when they sold the show at the event or something, the first time they talk about that show, they said it's gonna be a dark show about Sith.
Yeah, but
she was attached to that phrase. She was already the showrunner for that.
But it goes back to what I said, right? Else. Like, she already had actors in mind that she wanted to play parts, and she wrote her story around that. So it's like, if that's
she wrote the right story, I mean, did she wrote the real story she wanted to tell? It's going to be hard to say.
Yeah,
because they sold the show and we got something else.
Yeah.
Was it interference from the studio? Was it
happened before?
I mean, I don't want to say.
But I think you look at the cast reaction and her reaction and the confidence and the boasting that they had in their interviews and even afterwards in Amanda's reply after the cancellation. Like, I love that person. They had such a bond that it doesn't feel like they didn't do something that they didn't want to do. It really felt like they were all on board with this, right? And like, again, it's like, great. And look at the fans. A lot of the fans liked it. The 60, 70,000 people or whatever that obviously signed the petition absolutely loved it, with a lot more obviously, but like, people loved it, but it just wasn't the fan, or it wasn't appealing to the fans that have been there for a bit longer. And then the minute that, like, you say, well, you know, people say I've been a fan for the longest time, or, you know, this is not Star Wars to me, they're just like, well, you're just not accepting. It's like, well, you know, then what is it then? And what are we doing here, right? If it's not supposed to be Star Wars, it's supposed to be something else, you know.
You know, that cancellation thing, and where is Lucasfilm? Why don't they talk? Why don't they say something? They let the cast members say, or the actors or stuff like that, say all the stuff they say. Where are they? Why don't they say?
Well, I need to say, stop! You're going too far. Yeah,
that's it. So you have the actors, and then you have the fan base, the toxic, and then you also have both fan bases that are screaming at each other because you're saying, oh, well, it's because of the toxic. It's all because of you people, like, you didn't like this, you don't like this. That's why they canceled it. But and I completely agree. There needs to be some kind of official word that comes out. What was it? There's a game that just got canceled on PlayStation. I forget what it's called. And the company came out and they took accountability. They said, you know what? The reaction is not what we thought. We're going to go back a little bit to the drawing board and we'll rethink about what we did. And they've already done it, right? After Solo, they came out, they said, you know, we're going to go back and look at the schedule and the release schedule that we have because maybe it's a bit too much. We're learning as we go. Well, where's this word now, right? And I think that when it comes to the cancellation of the show, my theory is that it had to cancel the show because the only way to fix it, if we are to look at the real, what I think was bad writing, bad editing, and bad acting, and it was a showrunner, right? So you can't change Leslie because if you do that, what's going to happen? The accusations they're going to go even further. They're going to be like, well, you canceled it because either, homophobia because of Leslie, or, there's going to be outroar because it's a woman that was a showrunner, and then whoever you replace it with is going to cost. I know, but I'm just saying, if you just change the showrunner and bring in someone like, I don't know, Ron Howard, right? Like how he came in and he tried to like
Yeah,
salvage Solo or something.
yeah,
Or
because it
her
was a
daughter,
bad movie.
Bryce.
Or you bring in a
Bryce.
male. Sorry. Oh yeah,
Just
of
bring her
course.
his daughter,
But
Bryce.
I think first of all, I mean, I think she should have been probably running it from the start or someone else. But I
Hmm.
think the minute you bring in someone else, especially if it's male, then people are gonna like the whole fan base that wants the renewal. They're gonna go turn on you again. So it would have caused even more controversy if you change the showrunner because now you're admitting that like, well, it's because it's it's her fault, and you don't want to point the finger at
Yeah,
her.
but
It was
it's
bad ratings and all this stuff. So the only thing you can do to cause less trouble is you just cancel the
shut
show.
up.
Hmm.
Yeah,
But I mean, Lucasfilm should say the show was bad. We're sorry. We had a
We
mistake.
tried.
We
Yeah.
tried. We tried to
Hmm.
do something. It was not up to par, and we're not gonna renew a $180 million show that brings 3 viewers to the platform. I mean,
yeah.
why aren't they saying that? We're sorry. It didn't work. It was a bad show. That's it. We're gonna do something else.
But I think
They're not even saying that.
I'm gonna say it's like gone on a limb and say it goes to the president of Lucasfilm, which is basically Kathleen Kennedy, and in
Mhm.
all of this, she's been trying to appeal to the male dominated fan base and all this stuff, and there'll be I find like they just don't want to admit when they make a mistake, especially if it's a female led show, because you are like they'll feel like they're giving in to that male fan
Mm.
base, and I find that it has nothing to do with that, right?
No,
I
it
want
has
Ray
nothing to do with
movies,
that.
but I want it to be made by someone who knows how to handle the franchise, right? Someone who's
Hmm.
going to stay true to the franchise, not someone who's going to try to be original and I want to do my twist, like and there's already that talk that came from the showrunner from that movie that was coming up, like just give us Star Wars. That's all we want. Like you think that there's any of that when they're making or like the Clone Wars or the Bad Batch when they came back with that? No, because Dave Filoni's true to Star Wars. He's basically
Yeah.
Lucas's disciple, right? Like his Padawan. So it's like
Hmm.
that's what he wants. And then they were saying, well, like, oh well, he signed off on all that. What do you want him to do?
And they said that he had an input on the show, but I wonder how big of an input he had because there's some stuff that I told myself, how could he give a green light to this or that? And because he's in charge of the canon.
Yeah.
Well,
He's the
Well,
guy at the top of the pyramid, you know.
I think he
but he
chooses his
could have.
battles, right? I think he has to
Yeah.
pick and choose his battles, and for me, it was very telling that he was the one that was out there D23 presenting, and not Kathleen Kennedy. Like, why wasn't it the president? When we had the president, I think it was the president of Marvel. It was Kevin
Marvel,
Feige.
yeah, I
Like,
think
you
so.
know, like he's always there. Yeah.
Exactly, but like, why wasn't she there, right? And she knew because like all the controversy sent him out, right? But like it's
Well, I think they just realized that Kathleen Kennedy is not a good people person. I mean, she might be great at producing movie, maybe not
Mhm.
at running a studio, but I mean, every time that she's on stage, she's not charismatic. She feels like too corporate and stuff like that. So
I wouldn't
she
even say
might just
Dave
have been.
Filoni is that great either, right? Like he's
Well, he's kind of
a little
quirky
bit
and
more, yeah,
he's kind of
but
funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's not like super. She's just Kathleen Kennedy. She's just reading to a teleprompter, and she's like trying to feel like genuine, but it just doesn't go.
yeah.
So maybe they just like, oh yeah, she was there for the like the legend celebration, like they did, like they give
Yeah, when they
Harrison
honored Harrison
Ford.
Ford, yeah.
Yeah. So she was at D23, but I
Mhm.
mean, I think they kind of understand that she's bad at communicating stuff like that. So maybe
There's a
that's
lot of
why
hate on
she
her
was.
as well, right? So they
Yeah,
don't want
also,
people.
but
You don't want
I
to
mean,
have like that kind of what's a Gary Bettman booing when the Stanley Cup comes out,
Yeah.
right? That kind
Yeah,
of thing,
that's what I
right?
was
So
about to
it's like,
say.
or the
What if she
Bob
gets on
Chapek
stage
also
and
got booed.
yeah.
So
everybody boos her on stage? No, it's not very
But I think you're
good
right. Like
marketing wise.
Disney needs to come out and try to find something to try to unite the fans and make them excited about what's coming up. And I find that there's having no word on that. And you can see now that the hate is already shifted towards whenever there's an announcement of Ahsoka, oh, it's coming out like this year, like, oh, taking too long. And I feel like anyone who's not going to be happy that the fact that the Acolyte was not renewed, and then if that other fan base is happy that Ahsoka is coming up, we're gonna have that war already. I'm already
Yeah.
hearing, oh, taking so long for Ahsoka.
Yeah.
No. Like for this, like it's like okay, here we go. Like all they did was
Well,
announce when it's coming out, and there's already like this kind of criticism for it.
yeah, I saw something just today about I think it was Natasha Lubordizo who said that they were going to start shooting after they finished The Mandalorian and Grogu. So they need to finish that movie first, and then they will begin shooting season 2 of Ahsoka. So it should be near the end of summer 2025.
Yeah.
So if we calculate a little bit, I guess we're gonna get the show somewhere in 2026, maybe fall 2026.
But I mean, take their time, make a good show. That's the only thing we ask. Make a good show, good storytelling.
I mean, I think,
storytelling. Acolyte failed on storytelling.
Yeah.
They didn't know how to tell a story.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah.
And it's not, oh, they failed George Lucas, or they failed Dave Filoni, or they failed the spirit of Star Wars. They failed all storytellers around the world. They didn't know how to tell a proper story. It was so bad.
Yeah. And I really think it goes from the showrunner again with a lack of experience a little bit, and you know, who knows where Leslie's going to be down the road. Look at Rian Johnson, right? I mean, I didn't like that film. I thought he wasn't experienced enough to do it, but ever since then he's fallen into his groove, right, with the Knives Out kind of stuff. Like that's his thing.
Movies.
That is his thing, right? But it wasn't a good match.
That's his niche. Yeah,
it just wasn't a good match, and this was not.
He
a good
made
match.
a beautiful Star Wars movie. The story
Visually.
just didn't match the previous story. It was all over the place. So yeah.
And the treatment of
visually
Luke
was
Skywalker,
beautiful.
which there was you know, obviously the Mark Hamill blowback and stuff like that. But like it's just, you know, without like digressing too much from it, but like for me that's the common denominator. And even Robert Rodriguez, like he was making these crazy, you know, Once Upon a Time in Mexico kind of films and stuff like that.
Desperado.
And then he
like
goes
that.
off and makes all these Spy Kids, which is, or whatever it is, and which I mean I can't even watch it. It's so cringe to watch these shows. When you're a kid, it's fine, but when I watched a few of these movies with my kids, and I could hardly tolerate it. And when I watched the Book of Boba Fett again after watching it, I'm like, there's a lot of similarities in the way that he's made stuff. It's just so cheesy and just like kind of like, I don't know what you're trying to appeal to with like these kind of like the artistic form of it and all that stuff. And the only thing that saved the Book of Boba Fett was that it was half the season of Mandalorian.
Of
right?
Mando, yeah.
So,
but you know, the hopes were really high because the episode of Mando he directed, the tragedy when Grogu is kidnapped, you know, by Moff Gideon, we see Boba and he kicks ass.
Yeah.
During that episode, and we were like, "Yeah, that's our Boba. We're gonna see Boba rock." And then they announced that he's the one that is going to direct the series. And you know, he decides that you know he had enough of action and he wants to retire in Jabba's palace and you know take over the cartels.
The story, like if I take a step back and I take it as a whole, like the return
I guess he's
of
old,
his, and I didn't mind the story that much, but the execution was not there, right? So I just find like, you know, we talk about that Back to the Future chase scene or whatever, like it was like the hover
the slow-mo chase in the streets of Mos Espa, the Mos Vespa crew. The running shoes we saw, you know, could have been, you know, mistake that could be easily corrected.
The plywood.
The behind the scene views of the set.
The set, I mean, that was bad. And the fact that at the end of the show, Boba Fett says like, "Well, now that I've destroyed all the economy, the economy of the planet and the politics and stuff like that, I don't think I'm made for that kind of life. So let's bail out."
All that for like the brilliant.
What? What? Okay.
So now, I mean, as far as even like the divisiveness, like we have the, you know, the petitions, like I kind of alluded to earlier, for the renewal of the show, which is like 70,000 fans. I think it's going to take a lot more than that. If you do the math and you say, well, even if it's 70,000 members of Disney Plus, there's a lot more people, I think, that didn't like it or won't renew because of it, but then you have the answer to that, which is decanonize the show, which I completely disagree with. I think like it's like now just being spiteful and
Mhm.
like
Okay, so if we do the math, at about $15 a month of
yeah
Canadian. Well, okay,
Mhm.
well, it's kind of that price for maybe $10. Okay, if 70,000 people at $10, then let me just redo it. So it's $700,000. The show cost 1.8 million,
180 million.
180
Yeah.
million dollars to
No,
make.
no, you do the math.
Man,
It's going to take a lot more than that.
It doesn't make
yeah,
sense.
you
Especially
need
Yeah.
millions of people.
if you have people in the show that like and any fan base, any like whether you liked it or dislike it, there are people that sign up for a couple months and then after that,
Yeah, the churning, they
yeah, like
just disconnect
so
after.
yeah, exactly.
Canceling their
So
subscription.
it's
Yeah.
even less than
Yeah.
that when you think about it. And then there are people that like are going to be signed up no matter what, right? So of the 70,000, maybe I don't know, 30 to 40,000 are signed up anyway for all the other Disney content and everything like that.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not going to help that it's well, I wouldn't think so, right? And even then
Mm.
at this point, like you can't show that like a petition is going to bring something back, because if you show that, regardless of what the petition is, then as
Mhm.
soon as something's going to happen, then decanonize. I'll watch that petition go to 150, right? And then it'll be like, well, you did this, but you're not listening to these fans, but you're listening to these fans. So it goes back to what we said. Like Disney needs to step in and have an official word. I think personally they have to go back to the drawing board and rethink what they want to do moving forward,
Yeah.
like with the whole
You
thing.
know, because there's so much nonsense. I mean, Nico and I were talking about the fact that Bryce Howard mentioned that the cost for the catering for a Star Wars show is sometimes as high as the cost of an entire production for some movies or TV series.
Yeah.
So that's ridiculous. I mean, come on.
I personally don't even see where $180 million went in that particular
Make
show.
some sandwiches and
Smoked salmon bagels. They were so good.
yeah.
I mean, there was caviar on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Gold flakes. It was so good.
I hope there was like oysters and lobsters every day, because how can you justify
They shoot
those budgets?
Yeah, they shot on location most of the time, like in real forest and on
Yeah.
real landscape and stuff like that. Most of the time, it felt like it was on the
set.
The volume.
the volume, like the forest settings, like when they fight, and that was the best episode, the episode 5, where Kimi just kills everybody. I mean, it was filmed in a real forest, and it felt like it was on the volume.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what? Like,
what's happening there?
So the thing that, like, what did you like about the show? Because we talked about how we didn't like it, but
Kimi was awesome.
Yeah, Kimi was great.
Kimi was awesome. I mean, it felt like they were going like I thought it was like the first friend or something.
Yeah,
it could have been like that. The Jackie and Soul relationship was great. It should have been a show about those two Jedis that got
and Kimi is the murderer going around, following Darth Plagueis's will
things, and Jackie and Saul alone are told to go investigate in the galaxy, and they find clues. Because you wanted to make a mystery, so you find clues each episode. You find a new clue. You get closer to Kimi, and maybe Kimi was just next to you, and he was selling cocktails in his bar, and then you find out, oh, he's the bad guy, and big fight at the end, and that's a good show.
But
great story, good show.
Having Plagueis there earlier as well, and have him fiddling.
Also,
playing in Kimi's head
exactly
maybe
would have helped. But to just show him at the end like that, it felt like a desperation to have Plagueis and Yoda just show up at the end well, now you got to give me another show, right? It's just like, but you had those things in your back pocket and you waited for the last 3 minutes of the show to kind of expose them, and then at this point, people had already you had lost people after the 3rd episode already, right? And people are already upset or not happy with the storytelling, and now you bring those out at the end. Not only that, just to screw even more with maybe perhaps the canon, like how we've read like how Yoda did not hear or didn't feel any of this stuff going on, right? Didn't feel it, like where when was it, like it was Obi-Wan when Leia's planet like blows up, he felt like the and
A
Yoda,
disturbance in the Force.
Yoda didn't feel anything. Like when all those Jedis got slaughtered, it's like it just feels like you stop fueling, like stop, like as much as like you don't want to be negative, you're not making it easy, right? Like on these
Yoda and Mace Windu felt it when Anakin slaughters the Tusken.
Yeah,
I think, if I remember correctly, Windu comes in the room, and Yoda says, "Anakin, terrible pain."
And it was a time when the Force was not great around the world, the galaxy. The Jedi were not connected as much to the living Force as they were during the High Republic. When you read the High Republic books, you know that the Jedi, they are all connected together. They all have a special bond with the Force. Some uses the Force with empathy with people, with other people. Some others are like channeling the song of the Force, and they sense vibration, and they can duplicate their Force or multiply their Force just using the vibration of the sound of the Force, stuff like that. They were so powerful, and nobody noticed that 5 or 7 Jedi just got killed like that.
And I didn't really like actually the representation. I mean, I digress again, but like the representation of Jedi in general, it just felt like there were people that were coming to get your kids. Like we're coming out. Like if we have them and he's forced,
well, they kind of always were though.
I know, but but
it's always like
I remember Qui-Gon like that, but like this was like next level. They're to the point where they're trespassing. They're like, we're gonna get in there because we want like these kids, like stalking them in the woods and all this stuff. It's just like Jesus. It's not. They're making them like a bunch of creepers, right? Like, and I thought like they could have went a little bit more subtle with that approach, but
they look less noble.
Yes,
and more human, if I can say so. The human in the sense that we all make mistakes.
Yeah.
Instead of the noble Jedi guys that were painted by Obi-Wan in Episode 4.
Yeah.
The guardians of peace and justice.
Oh, Obi-Wan got fed some stuff too. So it's hard to follow what Jedi. But if you just read the books of the High Republic, and you read the comic books, and you see the Jedi how they were portrayed in the Acolyte, it doesn't match. They're not the same kind of Jedi. So that was not a good move on them.
They've already begun their descent, if we can say so.
But
yeah.
So what do you think like the move is like going forward though now? Like I mean, because what I hear 3 movies by 2027, and the new show that's coming out, which is like to me, I was a little surprised. I guess I missed that description where it was going to be a Goonies / Star Wars type thing, but I'm actually excited about it. Like now they're like, okay, this is what it is. Okay, I'm happy. I'm looking for like I know what it is. I don't find that the trailer is misrepresentative and
or misleading.
I don't think it's misleading. I think they showed this is what it's going to be, and that's what I'm expecting. With obviously there's going to be some twists and whatnot. But
and since the beginning they mentioned like either Goonies or Stranger Things for Star Wars version.
That was the pitch.
Yeah, that was a pitch, and I think that's the show we're gonna get.
And I'm down. It looks a lot more Goonies than it does Stranger Things, but hopefully the Stranger Things is darker stuff that we're not really seeing yet. But I mean, I watch it and I'm like, I'm like, because like the skeleton crew, whatever, and I'm like, I'm down for it. I'm really down for that show.
And as long as the folks watching don't expect a show for baby boomers, I mean,
well, they didn't sold the show as a.
That's it.
If you
that's
listen,
a good thing.
They sold it as a Goonies
it's a kid's
emblem production type style of show. Not it's gonna be dark. It's gonna be sitting
like you were mentioning before.
Focused.
And
one thing is gonna help. I think it's gonna help the Skeleton Crew. It's not nobody, no showrunner or nobody. No actors went on social media saying like, "Oh, we do it for what type of person, or we're here to shake up the bases of the fandom." Nobody's saying anything.
No,
they're gonna put up a great show
for the whole
after
family.
that. After that, maybe say, look, we did a great show because we put our effort in the story,
Yeah.
and we went not like Charmaine Abeid Chenoy that was supposed to work on the movie. Pretty sure she won't work on the saying, oh, I'm a documentarist, I make movies to shake up the
But
male
that's
and the
yeah, and that's what
shut
I
up,
find.
just make a great
Yeah,
movie and then
exactly.
after talk
Yeah.
after you made a good movie.
You're
That's it.
already going with the mindset, right? Of like, I want to do this. So if that's your mindset, it's obviously going to show in your storytelling, in your script, and perhaps even in your cast. Like worry about writing a good story, and like you said, like it, and then work off that. Like what happens now after Ray? Don't go, well, I want to do this, but I want to make sure that I have this kind of like political view and stuff, and that's stuff that was mentioned. When it came to like Amanda's response that afterwards, right? Like how she referred to the outright, and this and all this stuff. Like, dude, it has nothing to do with it. Just because I don't like something doesn't mean I'm MAGA, or just because I liked it doesn't mean I'm pro Kamala Harris. Like it's just like, why does it always have to go and turn like labeling? Like the minute you don't like something, whether you be sexist or outright, all this stuff. Like, man, no, am I not allowed to like something without being attacked and labeled immediately? And then after that, you make it on me to say, well, you're a hater. No, you know what I don't like? I don't like this crap. I don't like the fact that I can't state my opinion without being accused of being something, right?
And it doesn't help that we're in the middle of a presidential election year in the States, but it shouldn't be used as an excuse. I mean, movies should be about taking our minds off all that politic crap and the actual real wars that are occurring, in the real world. I just want to disconnect and have a good time and get on the ride and have some fun. I don't want to overanalyze it and say, oh, this is a political reference, or this is about the hate towards women or towards other ethnicities. It's not about that.
And I think
Star Wars is, and as always, should be about everyone.
Yeah,
but it can be, but just make it good.
That's it. It's all about storytelling.
I think right now Disney needs to take accountability, and whether they need to restructure. I really think that I think they need to change.
Or Lucasfilm. I don't think it's a Disney problem. It's a Lucasfilm.
I think it's a Kathleen Kennedy problem right at this point. I think that's been the common denominator, and I think that with all, be thankful for what you provided, but it's time to move on. I think it's just not working. There's too much controversy. We need to reunite the fan base. And if you look at what Marvel did, I don't know if you mentioned it on Onjal's Marvel, but like Kevin Feige came out and he made a movie, and he had the best voice to kind of take accountability with the fourth wall of Deadpool, mentioning ever since the Infinity Wars, things have been kind of crap, and kind of admitting it, and
it's sad you're joining the MCU at a low
lowest point.
Exactly. And they made reference to it and talk about fan favoring, like that's all it was, cameos, fan favoring, all this stuff. But you know what? I went to watch that movie and I was just able to just laugh and have fun and enjoy it, and that's what people want. And when I watched Han Solo, that's what I had today. I sat back, I laughed at the joke when he kicks the guy in the crotch and all this. Like that's felt like the typical kind of or even when Lando says, "I hate you," and he goes, "I know," like all this little corny jokes and stuff. But you know what? It was just fun to watch, and that's what we had with Deadpool Wolverine. And I think that it was a reset and okay, let's move forward. How do we move forward for this? And look at the success it has at the box office, and how many people are saying there is some people that don't like it, obviously, but it's nowhere near as polarizing as this whole Star Wars situation, right? And people, just look at the numbers. They're breaking records for the R-rated movies. The money that they're raking in is ridiculous. Wait till it hits Disney Plus and all this stuff, right? It's just, it's just fun. And I think just disconnect. Give me another Force Awakens. I know not everyone liked Force Awakens, but when I went to see Force Awakens, it was
we all do. I think we all do.
But it's super. I know. But I mean, not everyone liked it. They're called a reboot and whatever. But it was just fun. It was just a fun movie to watch, right? And even to an extent, when I was excited about the last the Rise of Skywalker, whatever. All this stuff. It was just fun to watch, and it didn't feel like there was an underlying kind of message and this person's trying to do this. They're just trying to make Star Wars, and give me cameos. Give me. I don't care. I'll take them. I'll take them. Make me go. Oh shit! How many times did I say, "Oh my god" when I watched Wolverine versus Deadpool? Deadpool. Wolverine.
Yeah, that was
I was
crazy.
freaking out the whole time. Go, oh my god, like out loud in the theater. Like the guy next to me was like, "What the hell's your problem?" Like I'm like, "Jeez." That's what I want. I want those oh crap moments while watching Star Wars. Like, give me that the season finale, season 2 of Mandalorian. I'll take that all day long, all day long. Like that's what I want. Stop trying to get like cute and original and all this stuff. Like, make something that people are gonna like, right?
Yeah.
And well, I think we all saw the trailer for the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, even though it was probably like in a Blair Witch Project type of camera, shaking and everything.
It was bootleg.
Yeah,
No, I didn't watch it.
Sure, yeah,
No,
right.
me neither. I saw a picture though. I saw a picture.
Oh, you only saw a picture, okay.
Yeah, I just saw a picture.
But yeah, I think, I don't know about the story, but from the images we've seen, I think we're in for a treat in terms of not cameos, but appearances and stuff like that. So,
Well, I'm sad that apparently
it should be a fun ride.
There won't be. Apparently, Boba Fett's not in it, but who knows? Everything that we've seen, like you want it to be kind of like with all the shows, just same way that Marvel did with all their movies and have their Avengers, right? Compile the Ahsoka and Mandalorian, all this stuff, and everything that's been there. Bring me Bill Burr. Hey, you know what? Bring Gina Carano in there if you have to. I don't care. Like just have
people
everything.
Gonna be happy with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, I doubt that would.
No,
ever
I
happen,
mean,
but, like,
Gino's gonna be there, but
if they
I
can
know
work
what you
it
mean.
out, people gonna jump
Yeah.
in their seats to see Cara Dune, because the character was really loved by
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
We loved Cara Dune. The actress made some stuff, but I mean, I don't care about what she did outside. The Cara Dune was an awesome character. Was an awesome girl, a powerful girl in the galaxy, and it's
She
sad
kicked
we
ass,
don't.
yeah.
She kicked ass. It's sad we don't have her anymore.
Well, that goes back to
But
what I
bring
said
her in
about your politics, right? Like that, like your political views should have nothing to do with because like I think what they were talking about, the controversy with like Cara Dune and like Gina Carano, like she expressed her opinions, and then when other people express their opinions, well then all of a sudden it's
but I mean,
like,
I cannot go online and say stuff about the company I'm working for.
Yeah,
because or stuff about.
But it was her political views, and then Mark Hamill has his own political. Right now,
that
he's
Hollywood,
very vocal, right? Like,
yeah, but she attacked Hollywood.
Yeah,
all Hollywood. So I mean,
I don't.
Hollywood is paying you, girl. Don't attack.
Yeah, don't bite the hand that feeds, right?
Yeah,
that's easy. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
But I think it should be at one point water under the bridge. Let's just try to have a movie that's just fun to watch. I mean, obviously the story is important. But like let's just give the fans something to cheer about when they're in the theaters, right? Like, and imagine like the Acolytes would have been a movie like that. I don't know. I think it would have got destroyed, and that's the other thing, right? It's a series. After the first 2 episodes, people walked out on that movie basically, right? And that's it. You didn't want to see the rest, and it's the same thing. It would have been just the same if it would have been a movie. People would have walked out, said it's trash, and it would have made money, just like Solo had a very kind of like that maybe it was a bit of a timing thing with Solo as well, but it didn't get received super well, and then people didn't really go. There wasn't a huge success, but they went back to the.
But it worked well when it hit Disney Plus, though.
Yeah,
people loved Solo.
If I were to make my wish list on new shows that if we think about what we think should be moving on next, Solo, give me a show. Try to find a way to get Ray Park back in there. Emilia Clarke, want
Crimson
more.
Dawn. I mean,
yes, Enfys Nest.
Call it back. Crimson Dawn. Make something about Crimson Dawn.
Yeah, imagine a series about Crimson Dawn. I mean, it has all been written in the comic books,
and
so they just adapt it
in Outlaws
to the big screen.
Now, the video game.
Yeah, it's an Outlaws.
Yeah, they have a very big presence, and I think a lot of people playing Outlaws went back to watch Solo and stuff like that as well. Like there's a lot of representation in that, and it'd be really good. So that's on my wish list if they were to make a new show, because like right now I don't know what's coming up on the schedule with this exception to Ahsoka, Andor, and Skeleton Crew. Like, is
Yeah,
that really the only
yeah.
three
You
shows
said
that are?
the schedule, but backwards. So Skeleton Crew,
Yeah, but I mean,
Andor,
like those
the
three shows are the
movie.
only
Those
thing
three
that's on
shows.
the menu
Yeah.
right
Yeah,
now, right?
yeah,
So
yeah. The movie,
I'm
and
sure
then
they're
Ahsoka.
working on something because you don't have a studio or people and they're just like watching Disney Plus all day long. I mean, they must be working on on stuff that they're gonna announce later on. But I mean, there's supposed to be 3 movie, but
Yeah,
I'm not gonna take it for granted
what's what
until
Mando,
until we
it's
saw
gonna
Grogu,
some
be
trailers. Yeah,
on the theaters. Yeah, Grogu and Mandalorian and Grogu.
and Ray.
there's the Ray
The
movie
proposed
and
Ray
the one
movie.
the origin of the Jedi.
Yeah, and the
Like ten
night.
thousand
No,
years before
what's
the
his
Skywalker
name?
saga.
That's good. The
Yeah.
other one, yeah, James Mangold or something like that.
Yeah,
Working on it. So
Well, they were talking about who was it? The guy that made Thor. He lost. They're saying he's not going to have his movie anymore.
yeah. Taika Waititi.
Yeah. So like
Yeah.
yeah.
so a whole
Well,
bunch
they
of
were
stuff is
saying
coming
That
out.
Kevin
project has
Feige
been
was
canceled.
gonna have a movie too. So I mean, they just shoot stuff around and
Yeah.
hope it sticks. So
Let's hope that like what if they go back to the drawing board and it's celebration, they can come back and say, "Here's our plan." Like when you show a timeline and say, "This is what we have coming out," the same way that Marvel did. Well, usually they come out with their schedule and show, "This is what's coming out." And I think that the Marvel announcements were great, and whether people agree or not with Robert Downey Jr., like they're show and what did they do when they're correcting their course? They went back, got the Russo brothers. What was working? Let's bring that back, right? And
and
there's
not
all
just
these,
the Russo brothers, the writer that worked with the Russo
yeah,
brothers on the 4 best MCU movie.
exactly. They're
Like,
bringing back what works rather than just trying
yeah,
to consistently do or try to force something that's just not there and
but
anger like
they could have brought back Robert Downey Jr. and just put a new team of writers and a new showrunners or stuff like that, and it would. mm, I would be like, I'm pretty sure it's not
Not so
gonna be
sure.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not so sure about that choice because why bring back Robert Downey Jr.? But I mean, if you bring back that guy and you put them with the 2 directors that made the 4 best movie in the MCU, with the same writer that helped them make the best 4 movie, they're in good hands. I mean, it's gonna be good
but
for sure. It's gonna be good.
it's come full circle to
Yeah.
what we said, right? Like what I said I guess earlier is when you have lack of experience, if you bring back the Russo brothers, there's a loyalty to their own story, to their own creation, to like what's canon for them,
Yeah.
and it's not someone like, whether again we don't know what happened with Leslie, but not someone like Leslie or Ryan Johnson that come in and want to have their own kind of, this is how I'm going to do it. Like respect what's already been done, and there's no better way to do it than to bring back the people who did it. I'm not saying to bring back JJ, but give it a little bit more power.
That was my next
Dave,
question,
right?
Eric. Yeah.
Well, no, but that's it. But
Should we
give
bring
a bit more
back
power
JJ?
to Dave Filoni and the people like you mentioned before. Bryce Dallas Howard, like she should have her own. Give her a shot. Why wasn't she given a show? Right? Like you're talking. If it is,
Well, she
about,
directed the some of the Skeleton Crew, so she's already back, but she need to run her own
yeah,
thing.
exactly.
project,
Give her a shot.
Yeah.
How is it she didn't get a crack at this? Right? Like
To go back to the Russo brothers, before working on the first Captain America, uh, they did like low baller stuff, so they were not big directors, but they worked with great people that made them, and they understood the assignment, and they didn't try to make
Too much.
or something special that, oh, I'm going to put my flavor on it and my twist.
Yeah.
And they just made it work because Feige was looking around
Overlooking.
over the thing, and they made what was one of the greatest MCU movie as the Captain America and the Winter Soldier. It's still in my top 5 MCU movie.
yeah,
That
I think
movie
Winter
is
Soldier was
great,
incredible.
but it was their first big movie that they did, and it was awesome because they had great storytellers behind them and great supervision, and they made something that was coherent with the whole story.
Yeah.
Now Star Wars is just like bunch of people just wanted to make their own stuff, and it doesn't feel like Star Wars because what is Star Wars anymore? We don't even know.
Yeah.
That's what it's
It's
sad.
losing its identity, and even when you point that out, they're like, "Well, you have to forget what happened in the past." And like, what are you talking about? What was the first line in Star Wars: "The Force Awakens"? This will
We have
begin
to make things right.
yeah,
Things right.
and
Yeah.
I feel like ever since then, it's like, well, you can't forget that, right? You can't
Yeah.
forget that.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe down the line, people are going to go look at the Acolyte the same way that they're looking at Solo right now and saying, you know what, like maybe a little hard on this, and the way that they were looking at the sequels before.
Hey,
Sorry, the
people were hard on the
prequels.
prequels. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
You
the
know, the
prequels,
whole Jar Jar
maybe,
debacle.
but I don't think that's
I'm
going to
still
happen.
hard on the prequels, though. I
Yeah.
love episode 1, 2, 3. Man.
But you know what? It was George Lucas that said, like I've always made movies for kids, and I think that's what people kind of forgot at one point.
Yeah.
And people who grew up and like seeing Jar Jar were just like, ugh, But the thing is,
Like,
he did make movies, but as whether you liked him or not, there is a consistency with the
Yep.
prequels and the original trilogy. And I thought what you saw in episode 7 and 9, I think there is a consistency in all of that where it's just fun, disconnected a little bit, right? Like you didn't get that for me in The Last Jedi. It was visually, I thought it was stunning. It looked really cool.
Yeah.
There was a lot of great stuff. I could find a lot of stuff that I liked about The Last Jedi, but I find a lot of stuff that I didn't like, which is not something that I find.
Yeah, which is the problem.
Yeah. But with for me, like this, I find the Acolytes a bit of a failure. I'm not sad that there's no second season, but I am sad that they brought Plagueis into this and
well, I'm sad that it didn't work.
Yes,
I would have been very happy and thrilled to talk with you guys and say, "Wow, what a great show it was!" And we enjoyed this and that.
I tried
instead of having the kind of discussion we're having.
I the first 2 episodes and then one of our friends was accepted. Goes, "Oh, wait till episode 4," and I'm like, "Wait till episode 4? Like we're gonna like halfway through, and now you're gonna say it's gonna start getting good." And then, like it's like you've already kind of lost me, and not everyone had a friend telling him, "Oh, wait till this episode." And even when now my expectations were so high when that episode came out, I'm like, what was I waiting for here? Like, did I miss something? Because like it didn't really get much better. So, and it just got worse for me till the very end. It was great, choreography, I guess, and stuff like that with the lightsaber battles and everything like that. But then you have the extreme people that are just like best lightsaber battles ever. All this is just like, oh my god, it's just like
that's a bit too much. No, I agree.
that's it. Like it goes, it was extreme. There was extreme hate.
It was cool. I enjoyed the episode 5 lightsaber battle. I mean, it was cool, but to say that it was the greatest,
was the best thing in the show. It was well filmed, was well paced. It got great action, great moves. Wow, the shish kebab / head cut was
the bruise. You take the 2 Jedi and one.
Yeah, force pull on the kebab, and then he removed his lightsaber. They drop on their knees, and it just goes like Beat Saber style. Chop the ends. Man, that was
like
great.
The cortosis, what it did to the lightsabers.
Cool.
That was cool.
Yeah, the
Kimir's helmet was cool, even if it looked a bit like.
But he had some moments where he was like, coming out of like, I don't know, the shadows, but kind of like floating. Some creepy moments. I'm like, I want more of this. Where like it looked. Freaky,
that's what we wanted.
Yeah, and then all of a
that's
sudden
what they sold us.
Didn't really have the helmet anymore, and then she's wearing the helmet at one point, just like, and it was just like, you went from someone that looks super creepy, and then all of a sudden he's naked in the water the next episode. I'm just like,
note to Lucasfilm, people with helmets, make them keep their helmets, please.
Until the very end. Yeah,
Kylo Ren, keep your helmet, man. Kimmy, keep your helmet. Boba Fett, keep your helmet, please.
Yeah, especially him. Yeah.
Hey, if Mando could keep it the whole time, and one of the best series, or one of the more successful series,
so make them keep their helmet.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
All right.
Bo-Katan can
I think
remove it.
and it's unfortunate because it's mostly, I think, negative, or I guess not so positive. But I think that like you can have a rational explanation as to why you didn't like it, which has nothing to do with like politics, race, or sex, or anything like that. Like
none of that stuff bothered me.
Yeah, and I've seen debates from other people, but just like those are, I'm hoping those are the voices that Lucasfilm or Disney listen to, rather like trying to filter through all this racist crap.
Yeah,
that could
instead
come
of
out, right? Like,
the hate crowd,
yeah,
listen
Pretty
to.
sure Disney just looked at their receipt and they saw like $180 million
Mhm.
for like
and it's not
15
trending in the
people who
right
watched it.
direction in
Yeah,
viewership.
it's not good.
It's
They
just
just say, okay, we cannot make another one of
yeah.
these, and they just cancel
Yeah,
it.
perhaps
They
it's that
didn't
Jedi
listen to
accountant you and I
people.
were talking about, Nico.
Yeah,
You
the
know, the
Jedi
Jedi
accountant.
accountant,
Yeah,
perhaps
God,
that's
that
him who
dude.
said, yeah, maybe we should cancel that
I don't
show.
even want
Yes.
to talk about that guy. That was brutal. But I think
But yeah, I
it
mean,
does come down to that.
Disney doesn't listen to fans. They don't care. I mean, not Disney, but I mean, Lucasfilm. It looks like they don't care
Well,
about
I'm gonna
what
say
people are
Kathleen
saying.
Kennedy. Like it starts from the
Or
top,
yeah,
right?
Lucasfilm.
Like I think if
Lucasfilm
you
is Kathleen Kennedy. She's the president.
if you leave it to Dave Filoni, I think he does everything he's done shows that he's loyal to the story. He's loyal to George Lucas' storytelling, and everything he's done. But again, he goes back. He has that base of the Clone Wars that he's loyal to, that he sticks to those stories, and he tries to bring out more from that story, right? And we go back to the Russo brothers. I have no doubt that that's what's going to happen with those, the next
Yep.
films that are coming. But when you have someone that comes in and wants to stir the pot a little bit and just change things, maybe not stir the pot, but like change things up and make it their own, you can't dismiss the people that made this transaction happen in the first place, which is Disney buying Lucas. There's a reason. All those people that made it so valuable, that made it so beloved, you can't kind of like spit in their face afterwards and like, if they don't like it, just say, well, it's because of this, it's because of this. Because you know what? It's going to take a lot more than 70,000 people to make your show successful, right?
For real.
Yeah.
'Cause
And
like
just
we
to
said,
prove, go ahead, Nico.
I was just like we said, 70,000 people, 75,000 people just equates to $750,000 in Disney Plus subscription. So it's way below the $180 million that show took.
Yeah, cost. Yeah.
And I think in the end that's what it is, right? Like the math just doesn't work.
Yeah, and that's the only way. The only reason that Lucasfilm canceled the Acolyte, it cost too much, and there was no return. And it might go the way of the Willow show, and it might disappear from Disney Plus. So Disney Plus. So if you want to see it,
already gone or something.
well, the
it's back. It's back.
Oh, it's back.
It was out of stock. Yeah, it was out of stock. So
yeah, that was just
sold out.
Yeah, because people were like, "Oh, we need to buy stuff from the Acolyte
before they take it out."
Yeah,
it's all the toxic fan base buying it to sell back at double the price on
people
eBay.
that loved it. So. But I mean, Black Series were never out of the shelf. Stuff that was not. It was just the Disney shop.
Shop Disney,
I didn't see any merchandise anywhere for that show. So.
Black Series at Walmart, they're still there and they're still selling and people are buying them because they're cool looking figures. So I mean, like we're waiting for Kimir. That guy was so cool.
Yeah. Well, thanks, guys. I mean, I think we were respectable in what we said. I mean, sometimes you don't always get that from either way. I'm curious to know what other people thought of in their opinions, but hope to do this hopefully on a better note with the next series with the skeleton group next time.
Yeah, for sure. And just before we wrap up, I mean, a year ago we were about to leave for Batu, the three of us.
Yeah.
So what cool memories do you keep from that trip, guys?
Well, just to go there for the first time with you had been such a long time. It was such a long time coming for you. You're one of the biggest collector of merchandise from Batu, and you're one of the biggest lover of Batu. And I became one of the biggest advocate for that planet. And just to be there with you was so magical, and with all the people that went
came
on
along.
that trip. That was.
Yeah, it was.
But the whole
memories
thing
for a lifetime.
When you go there, there's you're disconnected from the politics and the toxic.
Oh yeah, you forget about your troubles,
and you're just there and you're just enjoying it, and that's what I want from movies, and that's what
Yeah,
we got
that-
most of the
Yeah,
Good
time.
segue.
yeah.
Good
And-
segue.
And that's exactly what it, like when you can do that, then you're gonna have a happy fan base, and it'll be a united fan base, right? Like there's no one
Yeah.
there's no one there that's thinking about any of this stuff when you walk in, right? Like, so, you know, let's hope that that's what's next to come.
Yeah,
All right, thanks guys, appreciate the talk.
it was fun.
Have a
All
fun.
right, anytime.
Thanks for watching, and make sure to check the description below to follow Nico and Dominic on their channels.